Destiny 2 is one of those games that most people who played it had a really deep connection with it. It was a fun game full of new and exciting content, whether it be high-level raids or simple strikes you can do with your new light friends. There were hundreds of options of activities. There were missions to go through, stories to learn about, lore to read, and god rolls to farm for. Destiny 2 was once a game of legend. Once people's favorite game. Once it was the only game some people would ever play. But now it's been reduced to nothing more than a castaway, nothing more than a scrap left behind. So today, we're going to talk about what happened to Destiny, and why nobody wanted it to die. So, starting off here, my own journey with Destiny 2 took place pretty late. I only joined around when Lightfall was released, so a little over a year ago, maybe two. And I really enjoyed the game. It was fun, it was realistic, but at the same time it didn't feel oppressively realistic. The game had interesting mechanics dealing with these overpowered abilities that were able to clear rooms. Even when I was a new light, I knew there was something special to the game. So I kept at it, I kept playing. I would farm the missions, I would do the strikes. I got up and I did a bunch of raids with a small community of people, some of which were actually my family members, my father and my uncle. We all played the game together, and it was really a great time. And honestly, at some point, I can't even say my Destiny 2 journey started there, because I'd been watching my dad play the game since the Red War, since I was still very young, around the age of maybe 6 or 7. And all of this is to say that it has always looked like a really fun game to me, at least until recently. And the second I started playing it, that fantasy didn't go away. It was one of the games I could spend hours on end playing it, so much so that in only the year and a half I've played it, I've ended up with over 1,000 hours on the game. It is such fun, especially when you have such a great community to spend your time with. And of course, I was lucky enough to have that, not only with my family, with their friends, but also I was bringing my own friends into the hobby, and even some of my friends' families themselves. And it was all just a really great community. And that was one of the things I loved about Destiny, especially because it was free to play. Everybody could just jump in, even if only a tiny little bit. Everybody could still jump in and play a small bit of the game and have a blast, at least for 100 hours, without spending a dime. But that's about where the pros started to end. I went through Lightfall and all 4 of its seasons thinking nothing could go wrong with Destiny. People were constantly talking about how Destiny was dying and how the game was going downhill, but I was always kind of outside of these visions because I had just started playing the game so recently. I knew the final shape was coming out, and I knew it might be the end of the game as a whole, but I was still optimistic. I still thought Lightfall was a really good expansion, and while I went back and played not only all available Destiny 2 old campaigns, I also went back and played all the available Destiny 1 content, so that I would have the best understanding of the game that I could. I ended up playing the games for countless hours, and still, every day I would log on to Destiny and play for at least 2 hours a day. It was never getting old, and it felt like it would never get old. But that was only up until Season of the Wish. That's really when Destiny started falling off for me. A lot of the people I had been playing with were beginning to take steps back from the game, and my friends had all moved on to other games a couple seasons prior. So, of course, I was kind of left to my own devices, and while I still enjoyed doing a lot of single players, in that time I attempted to solo flawless a dungeon, specifically the Grasp of Avarice, but the water and the boss, but that's not what we're talking about right now. But I had a great amount of enjoyment from it, and I really loved it. But it was just getting old. It was the same formula over and over again. I would boot up the game. I might play a Strike or a round of Gambit or a round of Crucible. I would do whatever quests I still had available, which were quickly running out. And I would maybe partake in a couple of activities, seasonal activities, whatever. And then I would get off over and over and over again. And to a point, I felt like I started kind of wasting my time. I was playing the game not because I was having fun anymore, but because I wanted to prove something to the people that had already left the game that I was playing. I wanted to prove to my uncle, who has over, I'm pretty sure, 3,000 hours on the game and has been playing since the Destiny 1 release. I wanted to impress him with how much I had been playing the game. But even as he took a step away from Destiny, I really felt more and more like I was wasting my time. But then the final shape came. The final shape was all it was played up to be, and even though it was delayed, it was still an amazing expansion. I loved playing through it from start to end, except for the raid, because as previously mentioned, I couldn't get a team together because they had all already left the game. But other than that, I completely played through the main Final Shape campaign probably 6 times, 3 for each of my characters, and I sherpered through my friends a couple of times, and it was really a great experience. And even after the 6th time, I could still sit down and watch those final credits after Excision, and it was still amazing. It was still some of the best content I had ever seen. Fun fact, for the first time I played through Excision, and right before I ended Destiny as we knew it, I went on my Titan, which was what I first created. It was what my dad mains. It's what my uncle used to main. Titan was really my favorite way to play too. But I got on my Titan. I equipped all of my gear for my first and still favorite armor set and vanity set, the Night Watch that you get from the Cosmodrome during the New Light quest. I had the Crest of Alpalupe on because it had carried me through higher end content even as a New Light. And with my World War III looking drip, I ended up completing Excision for the first time. And when those final credits rolled with my Guardian and his old armor, that was just so reminiscent of whenever I started playing back in Lightfall, everything felt perfect. I had a sense of euphoria, and whenever I was listening to the Crow speak about what's ahead, I almost got excited for the content that Destiny was still to have, but it seems those hopes were for naught. After the Final Shape ended, content for Destiny didn't stop. I had played through a couple of the episodes, although none of them fooled all the way through, and I had enjoyed none of them, save for their storylines, but the gameplay was not justifying me coming back to the game and playing it, especially when it was taking up so much space on my computer's hard drive. So I had to take a step back from Destiny. I wanted to play other games, I wanted to make other content, I wanted to just do other things, maybe stop wasting my time. And at this point, summer was coming to an end, and school was starting up. So, of course, we had a little less time on our hands. But I played through almost all of the first episode, and all was fine. I didn't love it, but I still played through it. The second episode, I played through maybe half of it, and so far, the third episode, I've only played the first mission. And it's slowly begun losing its novelty. And while I never really wanted Destiny to die, I feel like everybody can retell this story from their own angle, from their own perspective. Whether the fall off be at Lightfall coming back for the final shape just to fall straight off again. Or maybe you played until the final shape and then it was all over for you. But that's honestly sad. And this is kind of a continuation of my first video, Don't Give Up on Destiny 2 Yet, on my actual Wonder and Wisdom YouTube channel, which you should check out, by the way. Where I talked about how there was still content to come, and although the final shape was over, there was still more. And as much as I still want that to be true, and even as the Edge of Fate comes around, I'm not sure I'll be there to play it. So, that has been my quite somber video essay about Destiny 2. I do love the game. I think management has really taken a terrible direction where it's going, but that's all a topic for discussion. I thank you all for watching. There is a Discord down in the description, and while you're there, and since you made it to the end of the video, I do hope that you consider subscribing and liking the video. And with that, I'll see you guys down in the comment section.